Hi everyone, hope you guys are all having a great day today. And in today's video, I'm going to cover the S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, specifically SPY and QQQ, which are the ETFs for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. I'm going to cover economic calendar, US 10-year treasury, crude oil, so on and so forth. Hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, consider dropping a like. It does help the channel, so thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Before I cover the support levels or resistance levels, I'm going to cover the economic calendar and go over some economic news as well. But Monday, April 22nd, we have nothing on the calendar. And then for tomorrow, Tuesday, April 23rd at 9:45 a.m., we have S&P Flash US Service PMI. Previously 51.7, this time around expecting 52. And 9:45 a.m. as well, we have S&P Flash US Manufacturing PMI 51.9, previously expecting 52 this time around. And at 10 a.m., new home sales 662,000 previously, and this time around expecting an increase up to 670,000. So that is interesting for sure. And then at the 10-year treasury, it's at 4.65% for the US 10-year treasury. And then crude oil, which does affect the CPI as well, because that was a big factor in terms of energy costs. Crude oil is at $82.89 per barrel. So somewhat still increasing, even though on Friday there was tensions in the Middle East and it did go up, and then it's come back down because they're saying tensions are easing. In my opinion, again, this is all just my opinion, so please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. But I think the next two trading days, so today and tomorrow, it will be up, but ultimately coming down because we are in bearish movement. If you look at the S&P 500 / specifically a SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P 500, we've been going down, but not even just that. The 5-year chart, MACD line, shows that we've entered into bearish movement and still are in bearish movement overall. The 1-year chart as well, if you look at the MACD line, we've been in bearish movement and going down for the most part as well. Now, just because we're in bearish movement doesn't mean we'll always have down days overall. We'll have up days nonetheless, but just the movement is to the downside. Just like we've seen in October of 2023, been going up for the most part the whole entire time. So it was a pretty massive run up overall, actually, if you've entered since October of 2023. But nonetheless, you could see there were down days. So there will still be up days, even though we're in the downward trend trajectory, right? And then in terms of QQQ, this is the same thing. Dow Jones, same thing. I'll show them overall. But first, SPY, which is the ETF for S&P 500. Ultimately, we could be bouncing off this moving average. It looks like we're going to bounce off either way, but the moving average is at $491, $492, currently sitting at $495, and then pre-market is at $497, $498, give or take. Now, if I zoom in at the 3-month chart first, that upward trend support level, we could be ultimately coming down to it, which is roughly about $483, $484 price point. Again, it bounced off a horizontal support as well, not even just the upward trend support level. The only thing is, though, that will take some time, like I've stated in the previous videos, and it's not going to just happen all at once unless something major happened, right? Ultimately, we could be going, so it looks like the next few days. So I'm going to cover the next few days and then cover the overall up and down kind of thing. So for the most part, since we're heading up to the upside, the first resistance levels we're going to be colliding with is around the $499, $500 price point, and then hitting the moving average as well with, so $499, so it looks like $499, $500 is pretty much going to be affecting with the upward, not upward, but resistance levels plus moving average. Then even though we're going up to like 501, 502, 503 and all that stuff, we're going to have issues passing $503, $504 because we're hitting a horizontal resistance level plus the moving average right about here. And if we were to have a crazy day, which in my opinion, I think it would be in 2 days, I wouldn't think it would be a massive run up. S&P 500 / SPY ETF, it tends to move slower than QQQ and / Nasdaq because that is more of the tech sector. Tech sector does move a lot, is more volatile overall. And by the way, the VIX is currently at 18.13 volatility index, right? So if we were to move up in the next 2 trading days, I think ultimately we'd still have a hard time passing $503, $504. If we do pass that, then you're moving into the $506, $507, $8 price point. I don't think we'll be passing, personally, because we're in the bearish movement, I don't think we'll be passing $510 for the SPY. The reason why is because we have a lot of resistance between the $508 and $509 price point. So $508, $509 is going to be quite difficult to pass. So if we even do pass that, $510, it's, in my opinion, is not going to happen. We're going to end up heading to the downside unless out of nowhere some crazy news comes out and we get out of the bearish movement in the 1-year and 5-year chart. But that is the levels for the upside. Again, ultimately, having issues passing $500 price point, and then even if we do, we're going to pretty much slow down at the 501, 502, and then have major resistance at $503, $504 price point for the SPY. Now on the downside, essentially coming back down to $500 or $494, $495 price point in terms of support level, and then trickling down back down to $493 price point. And if we were to have major downside, it'd be $491, ultimately going down to $490, but I think we would break through in $488. So $488, I don't think that's going to happen today at all. But if it were to happen tomorrow, I don't even since we're going up, I think we'd still settle around $493 because there's support at $493, and then it would take about 2 trading days after, so tomorrow and after tomorrow. So by Wednesday, we'd be probably hitting 488, 489, breaking that 490. So it would take about 2 trading days after today. I don't think it's going to happen like that. I don't think it's going to head down until after tomorrow, after today going up, right? And all that stuff. So the overall movement for the 1 month is in the bullish movement. MAC line, here's the 1 month chart. The 3 month chart is in the bullish movement as well. And the 6 month chart in the bullish movement as well. The reason why I'm expecting 2 days of upside, unless tensions happen overseas, something happens, or some economic news comes out that's bad. I just don't expect that, in my opinion. Now, in terms of QQQ, before I cover QQQ, I'm just going to cover the Dow Jones quickly. If we have the 5-year chart, bearish movement as well, between these channels right about here, you can see it's heading down, and then the 1-year chart as well, bearish movement, but it looks like it's trying to head up to the upside as well. So the thing is, the Dow Jones is a little bit of a small sample, so it's not really a massive sample overall, but could be bouncing off. I think we still have a little bit downside overall before we bounce up fully for this small sample. Now for the QQQ, we can see that it's opened up at 0.72% up to the upside. 5-year chart is to the downside as well. Still, if you could see, since 2010, been stuck between this channel, upward trend resistance line, upward trend support level, broke through since 2020 to 2022. And just like the S&P, I don't know if I already covered it too, but it's been stuck in channels since 2010 and had a resistance level and support level, but never broke through fully. Maybe a false breakout, but nothing crazy. But in terms of the S&P QQQ, so heading to the downside ultimately for the bearish movement for 5-year and 1 year as well, but and past moving averages. So it's pretty volatile overall. But in terms of 1 month, it is bullish movement, and 3 month bullish movement as well, and 6 month bullish movement entering. So more of a reason, in my opinion, why the next 2 days will be going up. Again, just because it's heading down doesn't mean every single day will be down days. But in terms of levels, so for the most part, if we were to head down, I'm going to cover the downside first. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does, we're heading back down to $413 as support level first. Right now, $417, and then ultimately heading down to $410, right? Now, if it were to go drastically down, it would be stuck. In my opinion, I think we'd be stuck in this channel right about here in terms of support level and resistance level. Not the cleanest lines I've drawn, but between this level is about, it's showing at $401, $402, and then $410. I think ultimately it would be going to the $400 clean price point to $410. And if everything drastic happened, it would be, $400, I guess, yeah. So $400 to $410 ultimately, and I think we'd be stuck there for quite some time, and then ultimately heading down because of the 1 year and the 5-year chart. But that's the downside. Again, 413, and then going underneath and breaking through that $410 to $400 channel. Now, if we were to go to the upside, right now we're $416, give or take, $416, and we'd have a hard time passing $420, and then having a hard time passing, where was it, about right about here. So it would be some issues getting ultimately to $425. So it'd be colliding between the $400 to $425 because of the moving average as well, plus with at the same time a bunch of resistance levels between 420 to 425. Again, we have resistance between the 418, 419, but ultimately, once we pass the 418, 419, 420 to 425 channel, and then if we were to move up 2 days in a row, massive, I don't think it would take a lot to move up, to be honest, but 420 to 425, and if you're thinking the most ceiling before we start heading down, you're looking at 430. That 430 is quite a bit because you're colliding with the moving average plus a horizontal resistance level multiple times, plus acted as support a little bit. So 430 would be the utmost max. I don't see we have two major move ups, like two major green days in a row. I like that massive personally. I don't think so. I think ultimately we'd be hitting 420 and having a hard time. Basically 422. It looks like 422 to 425 if we even pass 420. So ultimately, I think passing 422 to 422. Sorry, I'm not fully clear here. Just to make sure, passing 420 but hitting 422 to 425, and then having issues passing 425. And then if we do pass, we hit within that range, and then tomorrow's another green day, I think we're having a dead stop at 430 for the most part. Obviously, it'll pass a couple cents, right? Maybe not pass a couple cents, but give or take in that range, and then start heading back down again because we are in that bearish movement of the 1 year, 5 year chart. But in the 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month, it's showing we're in the bullish movement and somewhat being in the bullish movement. Again, because there's no real economic news for today and tomorrow, somewhat there's good news potentially. But the tensions, if there's no tensions happening overseas, I could see 2 green days since we've been having pretty much down days the whole entire time. But that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully you guys like it. If you do, consider dropping a like. It does help the channel. So thank you so much for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.